Hello, folks, and welcome to a very special Boatrek Live with Braxton and Ruben. Today we're going to be talking about the season finale, finally, of Star Trek Picard,
Thank the cinema gods.
Season 2. But it was a great palate cleanser in Strange New Worlds,
Mhm.
which was like not like the greatest Star Trek episode, but damn brilliant compared to
I
the
mean,
10 hours of bullcrap. Well, not all of it was bullcrap, but a lot of it
I
was.
can easily say Strange New Worlds is my favorite live action Star Trek show of the modern era. Like easily.
Dude, it's
And
only been one episode, dude.
I know. And I can already say that. I don't even care what happens the rest of the way.
It still doesn't live up to the first episode of Picard for me, but it can get there.
That first
Uh,
episode of Picard was good as hell, dude.
all right, let's do the intro and then let's get into it. All right, episode 10 of that show. We finally get to NASA or wherever, and I'm like literally blanking out because I'm just waiting for something to happen. When they all get in there somehow, and she puts on the uniform, and then she meets Renee. Like I didn't care. Like I'm just like, get to the 25th fucking century. So, so Soong, who's like disgraced, very rude, and he's like, I give you all this money, you don't want to take. He's like very rude to this woman that's showing him around, and he's like using money as his like shield for being a complete and utter like
And it's
prick.
it's such a cartoonish villain the way they write him. Where like, hey, I gave you money, that's it. Like they don't even try to write it like in a way where it's more nuanced, his kind of influence. It's just like, I gave you money, you do what I say. Twisting and mustache. I'm evil.
Brent Spiner, if you watch his career, like he was in a show about the devil or something, I forget the name of it. It was on Showtime. It only lasted a few seasons, but he played Satan. And I remember thinking, like, he's really good at being, like, evil and just despicable. Like, I don't know what he's like in real life, but he has an audiobook that, like, I found hard to listen to because he sounds so creepy.
Oh
Because
yeah, I remember you guys talking about that audiobook.
he's narrating it, and it's like, okay. So, he poisons who he thinks is Renee. Turns out to be Laris. That was the whole thing. Get it? Get it, guys? One Renee has to live and one has to die. Fake Renee had to die. That's what that meant. It all makes sense now. Guys have anything to say about that?
I mean,
I
it's
was
just
wondering.
like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Braxton.
No, I was just going to say I was wondering how they were going to pull that off when Girardi said that, and I forgot about the face changing technology.
Yeah, because
By
they
the way,
never
Laris,
use it
she can
again, and they don't even let you know it can do that.
she can possess people too. She can possess
And
people at will.
she never does it again.
No.
And apparently NASA has no budget for security because this 90,000-year-old man is wandering around and no one stops him.
Was it me or was all that looking like very cheap
Oh no,
and
the whole
like
the whole
lit like it
season,
was like a '60s television show?
the whole season was so low budget. It's incredible. Like that
But
one
but
CG
maybe,
render of the damn villa they kept using over and over. I'm like, oh my god, they couldn't
but
even make
didn't
two.
Laris make them credentials so they could be in there? Like it was a launch day. I feel like there's like a lot of people who are there. People's families are there.
They just
People's friends are
teleported
there.
in. She stole credentials for herself and got a call and got a outfit for herself. Picard's just like, oh, I'll just be wandering around because again, this show doesn't know what to do with people. And then she goes in to talk to Renee for no reason because if you could change your face to her, why not change your face and have Soong chase you around the whole facility? And because it goes with what you said earlier, I watch but I'm not seen. Except now this time you literally walked up to her and started talking to her. And why is Renee in this barren room? She's just in this room with nothing in it. There's nothing on the walls. Nothing. She's just like, what was she doing in there? Just like in this silence. She's an astronaut about to launch. You know how many people would be around her at that moment?
Yeah, I know. The sets and where they are and what's going on in the place, it doesn't look authentic for some reason. It looks very
There's no
like
traffic
student film.
or very little traffic. There's no background actors.
Mm.
Doing things. It's just it's wild, and it's a low kind of budget.
Then there's that scene where Rios, Seven, and Raffi are trying to take over Soon's drones that are going to shoot down the rocket. Anyway, when it all happens and Rios is using the analog controls to fly them around, that looked worse than the drones in Insurrection. It looked so bad. Like, go back and watch, and it looks like old school analog effects. Like, it really looks like that cheap.
Did the drones really look that bad, dude? I didn't think they looked that bad, dude.
I didn't. I didn't really notice too much.
It looked
didn't
like
stand out to me, but the whole situation was just like, why is this? Don't they have phasers? Can't they just shoot the drones?
It reminded me of the Langoliers, that Stephen King TV movie with the cheap '90s goblin, the biting things. No, okay, I'm exaggerating a bit, but it was bad for like.
I have to watch it again, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, a lot of the CG is pretty bad in this.
A lot of the CG, overall. Even when they get back to space with the ships and the Borg stuff, like I look back and Discovery has much better, like photorealistic, clear CG, especially in the last 2 seasons compared to this. This seems like Discovery season 1 level CGI, which isn't terrible, but there was definitely room for
muddy. It has a muddiness to it.
Yeah.
Some shots.
P is here. He says hi. Hello. Thank you for being here.
I thought that, thinking of like weird CG, like not to jump, but I thought that Agnes Girardi looked really weird as the Borg Queen when she revealed her face.
That makeup was terrible.
It didn't look like makeup. It looked like
they CG'd her face onto
they just did it all CG. Like it was Agnes with probably like dots on her face or something, and it looked very unreal. Maybe it was like, you could see the behind the scenes and see that it's actually makeup, but like around the top of her head, it just looks.
It looked to me like the Borg Queen was all CG, and they just was it what's that thing now where they put the face on the people?
Oh, deepfake.
Deepfake. Yeah, they basically deepfake Agnes onto it, so that they can get the tentacles moving and all that stuff. But it could have been the other way around for sure too. I mean,
because it looked weird, dude.
Oh, it looked terrible. Like, to me, I was like, they got like 2 kids in their first year of college in makeup and been like, hey kids, come do this Borg Queen. We don't want to spend too much money on it. It looks so like muddy and just cheap, Like I pictured that makeup being on Face Off. You ever seen that show Face Off?
Yes.
And the judges just being like, no, what is going on here?
It doesn't look good.
But dude, didn't you guys think that scene was touching? Though, when like Laris, came in and she was talking to Renee, and she was like, "Oh, like you've always felt like you had your guardian angel, and like I'm that guardian angel." And she's like, "Oh yeah, like I've recognized you, I've seen you before." And she's like, "Oh yeah, like I've tried to like stay hidden, but like sometimes I couldn't."
It feels like there's no need to have that. Like, it feels like empty sentimentality to me. Like, all you need to do is have her get on the rocket, go up there. Now, Laris, I keep calling her Talon, disguising herself as Renee and getting poisoned and dying. A good way to trick Soong. Here's the thing about Kore, his daughter. She left with nothing. And now she's in a library with the headset and like a laptop and like all this stuff, destroying her father's files, right? And like all of this shit is getting fucked up. But it doesn't matter in the end because he hauls out a file from 1996, the Khan project or whatever. Now I'm gonna bring Strange New Worlds into this for a second because it links up, I think. According to Trek, we're a couple of years, like 2026 is World War III, right? That's when it starts happening, nuclear holocaust and whatnot. But in Strange New Worlds, they talk about first it was the Second Civil War in the United States. Then it was the eugenics wars, which I
Right.
assume, like in the now with the timeline, however floppy it is, floppy. I mean, fucked up,
Timey wimey.
timey wimey, flippy flappy. Uh, like soon we'll start this con stuff now, even though it's like the project itself started in 1996, which is a way for them to reconcile old canon with new, like
Right. The
eugenics
timeline's not
wars.
exactly lined up with, what
Yeah,
we've known. Kind of like how Terminator, in the original movie, it was one date, and then it kind of shifted a little bit.
yeah. So that's I respect the attempt to reconcile all that, but I I honestly don't care about the eugenics wars and the Khan stuff, even though they're still gonna harp on that. As Strange New Worlds has a character who is a descendant of Khan, which is fine. I have no problem with the character herself. So okay, let's get to the Will Wheaton part because when Corey sabotages her dad's work, she goes out
And I think
walking
she
in the
gets a new
park.
outfit too. Doesn't she have a different
Well,
outfit?
she has a backpack now and a laptop,
Right,
and
right, right. She left barefoot, never been out in public, no ID, no money, no understanding of public, polite
she
society.
she could have snuck back into the house and got her stuff and left
I
again.
guess
Who
because she's a
I don't know.
hacker. I mean, she can do
Yeah.
anything. Anyone can do
Maybe her
anything at any
bag
moment.
was on the far side. Maybe her bag was on the far side of the pool and we didn't see it.
She just
And as
beat
she
the
was
shit out of
walking off,
somebody and
she
got
just
it.
like picked it up as she left.
She was like, "Give me your bag, fool!" She beat him up.
Dude, so the thing that I didn't like about the Will Wheaton scene was that I didn't feel like it was Wesley Crusher. Like I wanted to see Wesley Crusher. I wanted to see like him like be wearing something like a little like spacey. I would have wanted to see him be clean shaven. So that he looks like Wesley Crusher and not like Will
Will
Wheaton
Wheaton,
just like showed up
right?
to just like yeah, he didn't seem like Wesley Crusher at all. I didn't like that.
Well, he's a hippie now. He's a when he became the traveler, like he's all enlightened and stuff. There was a deleted scene in Nemesis that shows that he eventually went back to Starfleet. That's not canon because it wasn't included in the movie. So they've stuck with this idea from TNG that he went off with the Traveler and that's where he stayed. And he even jokes about like I told a joke and ruined 100 years of history or something. So I know how. It's funny how they talk about how delicate the timeline is. Butterflies, this, that, and the other fucking thing. But really, the characters don't actually care. They don't practice what they preach.
No, not
So
even
it's like,
remotely. And then it
yeah.
all gets fixed with a Q snap anyway. So what was the point?
That's why at the end of episode 9, Picard wasn't concerned that the ship was gone. He's just like, oh, okay. Well, I guess something's going to happen because we're in a TV show. Wink, wink.
I've read the final script.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and
I feel
then
like they should have been freaking out that Agnes freaking left them, dude. But you're right, they were just kind of too calm. Someone was like, "Oh yeah, well, I guess we live here now."
So Will Wheaton or Wesley recruits Corey, and that's over and done with. And whether that will be touched upon later or does it matter that the scene happened? It's like let's we need another scene with Issa Briones and Will Wheaton. Let's do
just
this to
like season one didn't
get
matter
him
this
off our
season,
backs.
season two won't matter next season.
Yeah.
Something I was thinking, dude, like after Star Trek Chicago, and they had announced that there's a season 3 and all the TNG cast was gonna be in it, and they were like, "Oh, like Will Wheaton isn't gonna be in season 3," and I was like, "Oh man, like what about if they like shot the shit in like 2 days?" They were like, "Oh shoot, like we're getting all this like blowback because we're not including Will Wheaton. Like we need something to do with Soji. Let's like shoot
I
it real
mean,
fast,
it
dude.
feels like it was shot in 5 minutes, to be honest
Let's."
with you.
They're like, "Ooh, like let's not even like give him any clothes. He'll just wear whatever he wore."
It feels like it to me. When I watched it, I was like, this feels like it was shot in like 2 hours. Like Will Wheaton was there. Hey, Will, come in real quick. He memorized the line, which is not hard for most actors to memorize lines very quickly. He blah 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 spewed out his word salad nonsensical crap that like means that has nothing to do with anything. It's just random. It's almost like a setup for like some weird uh spin-off show like Soji and the Traveler. Like what I don't know. I don't know what like
Wesley and Soji. I
yeah.
mean Wesley and Corey.
We travel time and space. Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, but it cracked me up because it's like it's a show full of moments like this. We're like, why is this happening right now? Is there any sense of urgency in this show of getting to the thing that's important?
I don't think that was something that was filmed after. I think that was like filmed last year when they were filming it. But I think they just wanted to. I mean, a lot of this season was excuses to have the actors from the first season who couldn't play parts in the second season play parts in the second season by playing ancestors of those people who look exactly like
So
them.
weird. It's like a bad syndicated anthology show where they just use the same like
It's
American
like kids.
Horror
It's
Story.
like watching Kids in the Hall, where like the guys are playing the men and the women, and like,
Yeah,
they're playing it
Just
all, right?
like oh, we can't get Patrick Stewart this year. Okay, get Issa Briones to play Patrick Stewart. Like I don't know, like it's just strange, it's strange. And then like how little they give so many characters to do throughout 10 episodes. Like 7 barely does anything the entire season.
They say the word butterfly
A
many
billion,
times.
Yeah, oh my god.
They say it in the last episode at least 4 times.
You know what? I'm
I
going to
think.
say this on camera right now. Star Trek, as a Latino, please just forget about me. Stop representing me. Don't put me in the future. Latinos didn't make it. I'm cool with that. Please, because I want to shove Rios' cigar down his throat. It's so obnoxious. It's like this cheap character trait that's not even a trait. It's just like, hey, I have my cigar, but it's never lit because I'm an asshole. Like, it's so obnoxious. It's just and the slow motion shots, like slow motion all the time for no reason. Just like, hey,
What did you
slow
think of
motion makes
the?
everything cooler.
What did you think of the kiss between Seven and Rafi? I think it was very passionate. It was long overdue.
It was. I've been waiting for it, dude. Yeah,
Really?
I thought we were gonna get it last episode,
You
dude.
think these two people had any chemistry with each other?
I
You
think
think
that
they
Rafi and
remotely
Seven.
felt like they actually liked each other? Like
I
I
think
never got a sense of what Raffi likes about Seven and what Seven likes about Raffi. They just seem like bickering friends.
They're like an old married couple. So I see. That's how I see them.
So again, it was
but
just like a moment that happens, and it's like, who
did you
cares?
know Jerry
You can
Ryan
be
and
attracted to somebody you bicker with. That's fine.
No, it's not that. It's that I need to get a sense of why they're attracted to each other. Like I have friends who bicker, couple friends who bicker all the time, but I can be like, yeah, I know they have fucking crazy sex, and that's why they're together all the time.
If you're
And,
talking about actual moments of affection, they're small, far and few between. Like there's one scene on the
Right.
bus in the second episode, the second or third episode, where she like puts her hand on her thing or not her thing, her I meant to say knee, her hand on her thing. I'm so dirty. Anyway, let's get my mind out of the gutter. But yeah, I like those two. They're going to be in season 2. I mean season 3. However, apparently Alison Pill is not going to be there. I thought they were going to continue with the Borg Queen somehow. Apparently, that thing that
really
they
hope
set
it's
up
true.
at the end of this season will probably be like done and over with by the time we get into the next one. Elnor is not coming back. Won't see him anymore. Rios, Santiago Cabrera, not coming back. So they really are like. Whew,
So they'll have as
Yeah,
much character work in next season as they did this season.
well, when you put it that way,
Like, I mean,
But you know,
Rios. What's Rios' story this season? I like the past.
he found love and cigars, real cigars. It's love
Like,
and cigars. That's what it was.
I found the past and cigars and a woman. I guess there's no women in the
Could
future.
you blame him for wanting to stay with her? Like seriously,
I
I'd be
can.
like, fuck the timeline.
I'd be very concerned about a girl who's cool with me me like falling in love with me in 2 days, I'd be very worried. That's clingy, crazy girlfriend territory. I'd be like, I'm
So,
going back to the future, girl.
you know what?
You're way too into this too soon.
Sometimes those are the most exciting relationships.
No.
No, okay.
Maybe for the short term.
Well, in the span of 2 or 3 days or however long, he showed that he could be a good boyfriend and a husband to her, and a good father, to the point where the second last episode she's saying like, imagine we've been together 10 years, because I've been imagining it from the first hour that we met, that we've been together for 10 years.
I'm out. You're talking about marriage and shit. We just met like a day and a half ago. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.
I don't know, if a girl was talking about marriage in the first couple of days, I'd be like, thought you'd never ask. Especially if she was, I forget I don't know the actor's name, the actress.
Isn't her name like Soul?
Teresa.
Like SOL, Soul, something. Like I thought her name was like Soul.
Yeah, I don't remember her name off the top of my head.
But she's a very, very beautiful woman. That is absolutely true.
Okay, I guys want your thoughts on this peculiar scene with Q in
Sol
Chateau
Rodriguez.
Picard. Sol Rodriguez. Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Q's like, you absolved yourself, Picard. You chose to be you or something. I don't know. And Picard's like, why? And he says it a couple of times. He's like, why, Q? What the fuck? Like, you could kind of sense, like, he's just like, why put me through all this?
Yes, please explain the show to everybody.
Can somebody explain the reason why any of this happened? Because I don't know.
I love that moment with them, because it's like, please, we're going to sit here and actually explain some of the show to the people watching, because Picard is asking what everybody else is asking. Why? Why is this happening? What is going on here? What was the point of all this?
Essentially, it was to make sure that he could forget the past and learn to love.
Technically, the minute that Jaborgi shows up on the Stargazer bridge, Jurati should have disappeared, and the whole timeline should have been reset properly to what it ends up being. So Jurati should have disappeared, and Seven and all those people should have immediately known what happened. And then she would have gone, hey guys, it's Jaborgi. Don't fucking shoot at me. There's a big ass space laser coming and we're all going to die. So let's work together and create a little shield that stops random space laser. What?
Well,
Woo! Whoa, let's do a fucking space laser, man. Like,
that's the thing. That was Jurati in the first episode, right? So that's why I was confused about, like, if I predicted that this Borg, I thought it was the mother at first, but turned out to be Jurati, which, like, you pretty much figure by like episode 7 or something that's the case. But she comes over forcefully. Of course, the crew's going to respond by like firing. Then she stuns everybody who's attacking her. And she's like, I need power. And it's very what's that word? Malevolent.
Malevolent, yeah.
Malevolent. And you're right. It's, if she had just been like, hey, I'm Jaborgi, I need you to cooperate. Because she plays the song. She's giving him a clue anyway. Because she says, I played the song because I want you to be calm. Well, what if you revealed yourself? That would make them at least pause and think like Jurati. And Jurati would have been there right at the time. But the way it worked out is that they blow up, Q sends them to the thing, and everything happens. It's like this paradox mixed with butterflies, and none of it really makes any sense because...
Or matters.
How could
Q snaps it all back to normal?
Exactly. How could Jurati even show up as the Borg Queen in the first place if the case was she revealed herself? They wouldn't have never gone back in time, and how could, like, it wouldn't have been a pair. You know, it's like, it's this thing about Rios too. It's like, hey, he belongs here. And it's that point is hammered home because Guinan's like, hey, they were really important. That kid, helped clean the fucking world's oceans. That's
the grand janitor.
The grand janitor of the oceans.
Rios is like, fuck my ship, fuck my crew, fuck all the people I worked with in Starfleet throughout my entire life. Fuck them all for this one random, I guess, hot girl. I mean, yeah, she's hot, but like, Jesus, she's not like angelic. You know what I mean? Like she's not glowing or anything. She's not any magical powers.
So he was
Well,
talking about like being lonely. He was talking about like being on his ship with like 4 holograms. But then he was like
A
the captain of
captain
the
for over a
Stargate.
year.
Yeah, and so that has a lot of
It's dumb.
yeah, that
I
It's
don't
works
know.
out like
dumb.
that.
I don't think.
It's
Well,
dumb.
to be fair, I don't think he was a captain for over a year because a year and a half has passed between the first and the second
We
season.
don't
So
fucking know.
I would assume like it took him like a little while to get there. But yeah, he could have been just been like, "Hey, Rios, you saved the galaxy with Picard. Here's your captaincy back."
We
But
don't.
he
Yeah, we
he
don't
wasn't
know.
he
They don't
wasn't
show us. They don't tell us.
he,
Like they
he
don't
wasn't
make.
even happy there. Like he wasn't happy with his life in the 25th century. He's like he felt like a fish out of water. Even after, I suppose looking back now, even after he has that whole ice situation which would completely discourage anybody from like the time. Next
He's
episode, he's like,
insane.
"Fuck it! I like parties. I like music. I like cigars. Oh, and I love this woman I just met, and she's fucking crazy about me. However way you want to think about that." So, I mean, I'm not mad at the Rios thing, but I don't understand the Q stuff. Q was dying, so he wanted to. Like it seems like the whole point when he gives him that speech about you needed to like learn to love, like you needed to know that your mother's death wasn't your fault, and it's like, could Counselor Troy couldn't work this out with him back in the day? Like what the fuck? It's
The psych evaluation at Starfleet didn't figure this out.
they all of this season happened because
They figured out what Worf
Picard
was
has to
afraid of, but they
feel
couldn't
good
figure
about
out
himself.
what Picard had issues with in the psych evaluation. Like he's 90 something, and this is still what's on his mind. And then the magic key that comes out of nowhere. Man, I thought what was funny is that in
Well, he
episode
put the
9,
key there in the end. It's a paradox, you know.
Well,
it
no,
makes
but
sense.
yeah, and okay, so in episode 9, they show him putting the key in there. Then at the end of the episode, or at the beginning of this episode, it falls out. And I thought during the firefight, somebody shot the secret compartment
Yeah.
and the key fell out. No, the key just mysteriously poofed into existence right where it needed to be, and then he puts it back. Like it's
I forgot about a line. I don't know the exact line, but Picard talks about the bullet holes. Oh, there was a 21st century firefight here. Oh, I remember all of a sudden. Those are the exact bullet holes of the fucking thing. I'm like, really? Oh, come on. Oh, Jesus. We have a couple of comments here by PE. He's made a few comments. Watching the finale of Picard and the premiere of Strange New Worlds was like night and day. I sat through Picard and watched a lot of what I expected to happen come to pass. Strange New Worlds, however, blew me away. So Data died in the finale of season 1. Q died in the finale of season 2. And now I'm wondering which classic TNG character will
Q's
die.
not dead. He's coming back for season 3. That's already been confirmed. And he doesn't say goodbye.
No.
He says, "I'll see you around" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So guarantee
See you out there or something.
See you out there or whatever. So guarantee Q's not dead.
He does say that like this will kill me because he's like in my weakened when Raffi chokes him. He says in my weakened state you could probably kill me, much like sending you home will. And Picard's like, yeah, he's going out, and Picard's like, but not alone. Wasn't that the whole point of this? And he hugs him. I got to admit, I was a sucker for that like sentimentality between Q and
Christ.
it was awkward, and it's in a
Disgusting.
weird narrative, and I don't quite understand. But like the part where he's like, "You matter to me," I'm like, that kind of makes sense. It's something about Q admitting his feelings that's nice and I like about it. I mean, I bought into that. And when he fucking hugs him at the end, I'm like, why am I feeling feelings in this show in this season of a show that I don't really like? But it suckers me in here and there. I can watch something that I don't really like, and they'll do something like Will Wheaton. I was like, I had a big smile on my face when he's there.
Well, because they're good at emotional manipulation, but they're not good at writing like an actual narrative that builds on it.
Well, I can recognize that it's like it's a useless story point.
They're making two characters
could
you
mean
love
something
for
later, but
nostalgic
not now.
reasons hug. So you're immediately gonna be like, oh,
But it's all in the way it is played too. I mean, the Patrick Stewart and John Delancey are really quite good with what they're given. I mean, obviously could be better, but I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to be a little bit positive about it, but
Fuck that. It's hot trash, dude.
well,
They wasted 10 hours of our life with that shit.
Credit where credit's due, and I know they wasted
I
our
want my
time and pissed us
$4.99
off
back.
and made us really doubt season 3, but apparently season 3 is going to be good, guys. Remember when they said season 2 is going to be good?
I mean, look at the
Already.
trends. Season 1 was terrible, and season 2 was terrible. So season 3's got to be great.
Dude,
It's like the
like,
definition of insanity when you keep expecting
Yeah,
something
it literally
different.
is. It literally is.
when when Q said that like, oh, like, even gods have their favorite, and like you're one of like mine.
I
Like
like that.
I mean, I did too, but then like like I thought about when Q slapped the fuck out of Picard in episode 1. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? Like, there are like things that Q has done and said that did not make me feel like, oh, you're one of my favorites. That fit. Like I don't know. That just didn't totally make sense to me.
They make him vaguely demented in previous episodes where it really doesn't add up in the end. Like, if it was about showing Picard like his true self and all this crap, it's like, yeah, why the slap, and why, when he comes into the FBI place and he's like all like weird and I'm dying, and he never can answer a question directly.
And
Like,
then he's in France.
he's like,
an hour
Q, cut
later,
the bullshit.
somehow.
He's like, I am but the suture in the wound, and you are the stitch. I'm like, what the fuck does that
It's
mean?
all it's the writing word salad of the show. Like every episode is just a bunch of word salad that means nothing. It sounds all hot, floaty and pretty, but when you actually sit down, like PE says, this show's not meant to be paid attention to
Red
or
letter.
analyzed. It's just meant
Red-
to be in the background.
Did you see the Red Letter Media review of the episode 7,
Yeah.
8, 9, I think?
Yeah.
I forget, Rich or the other guy. One guy goes into like this fake monologue of word salad,
Yeah.
and he goes on for like 2 and 3 minutes of like just in the stars, and you look into your heart, and you know that time is but a thing, and then like it's just
He does it
bullshit.
perfectly.
He does it perfectly
Yeah.
because that's the way they talk.
It sounds exactly. Baxter, you haven't seen it, right? He does
So,
this whole
like, I
joke
saw-
kind of speech version. EGT posted it in that chat.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Because Terry Metalis actually liked it. It's like, yeah, he's laughing all over the bank because this guy's writing garbage, helping write garbage, and laughing all over the bank.
Yeah.
And he can easily say, well, I gave the rest of the season to Akiva, so.
Oh, are you kidding me? That's the defense of everybody I hear. And I'm like, I'm sorry, go back and watch episode 1. Oh, yeah, it felt good. But there's no story being created there. It's just stuff.
You know Robert Meyer Burnett, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I interviewed him.
He said something unusual. He said something positive, and he showed excitement
About Picard?
about Picard season 3, and like it threw people off because he hates modern Trek, and it seems like he'll never get a
I have
chance.
zero interest in season 3.
But he said something about, I found out something about what Terry Metalis is working on, how they're bringing back a certain something, I guess a villain or like something from previous Trek in a canonical way. He says that makes sense, but you'll have to. He didn't reveal it. I'm like, I like and dislike what I don't. He's a guy I both agree and strongly disagree with. He's one of, like, John Campea. These are people like I've been watching for years and years and years, and the best pundits out there are the ones that, like, I don't like always agreeing with people, like watching YouTube channels where I'm like, oh, you just think like me. I want to hear the opposite argument and stuff.
No, yeah, because you learn things sometimes when you hear a different kind of.
So I think he's hard. I think he's hard on New Trek, but he's in some ways, and then very fair in others. But to see somebody like him, like, enthusiastic for the 3rd season, and his talk about Terry Metalis, and it's like, okay, I see what he did early in the 2nd season, and that was good. So, like, I'm thinking, if he was totally in charge of the 3rd, I don't fucking trust Akiva Goldsman as a creative. Strange New Worlds, he's in charge, but there's
Right.
another guy, Alonzo. No, wait, I'm thinking. Can't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry, but yeah, he's. I don't want to get into like blaming producers and stuff, but there's a lot of talk about that where the quality of the show just went downhill because Terry wasn't around, basically.
But see, yeah. But then what? So what explains season one? Because the exact same thing happened in season one. First episode pretty good. Second episode all right. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. By the end of the season, it was like, what is going on in this show? Same exact pattern here. Doesn't matter who the hell the showrunners are. So I keep trying to explain to people, it's irrelevant. There's the top of the pyramid that feeds down, that's telling everybody, this is the show I want made.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm nervous about Strange New Worlds, because I already see in the first episode the patterns. Traumatic backgrounds for everybody. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Here we go again. Everybody's got this terribly traumatic thing in their past. Like, oh boy. The same patterns.
Speaking of trauma, Picard got over his, and now he can love again. Q. Okay, let's wrap this up with this episode because Q snaps him back to the 25th century. I predicted that they would go back to the point, right before, and Picard would say, "No, let the Borg Queen do what she does," and that's what happens. And then it's this quick like other plot about an anomaly that's going to destroy the galaxy that they need to stop by combining all their shields. I'm like, okay, we're back in the 25th century. I'm buying this as like quick as it is and as rushed as it is. I'm like, fine. It's not episode 1 quality. Retroactively, the rest of the season doesn't add to episode 1. If like episode 1, as good as it was when I first watched it, was accompanied by a good season and a great ending, then it would just make it all sweeter. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it
right.
kind of
No,
like
absolutely.
taints it a bit. You know what I mean? It's like thinking
Well,
back
yeah.
on how the Borgatti was acting, and like, oh, it's convoluted and it doesn't make sense for story reasons. So everything, it's like they're not constructing a story with logic and coherence. It's more like we have elements. How do we like stick them together? And like it's almost like they have it written out on a bulletin board. Okay, this needs to connect to this, and this let's make it as complicated as possible. So it's so stupid and it's so fucked up and it's so like that. Anybody who questions it, we can say, well, it's a little above your pay grade, pal. It's a little above your head. It's like, no. You didn't know what you were doing, and you didn't know how to make a time travel story, and you used every time travel rule in everything that ever existed, and that ends up contradicting everything that you're really trying to do. Is it a paradox? Is it a different timeline? What is it? Like Borgatti creates a whole new timeline that she comes through, or is she from this current timeline? What Rios, his actions directly affect the path that leads them to the present, because his adopted
No,
kid.
the Civil War starts 6 months later, and Rios is one of the first victims. Boom. Big mistake staying behind, Rios.
Oh well.
No, yeah. I mean, to me, from experience, from working on, I mean, obviously I haven't worked in Hollywood and I haven't worked for like major TV studios, but I've worked on projects with other writers, writing screenplays. And to me, it all feels like a first draft that went to production where no one questioned anything in the script. And so all these weird things get through where you're like, wait a minute, half of this doesn't make any sense. If you sit down and actually question the logic of what's going on, like, this doesn't actually mean anything or add up to anything. Like, what is Raffi's story from the character's point of view?
The producer's like, where's the script? And the
her
writer's like,
and
what's the script?
Elnor are close. Okay, fine. You're not going to show us that. Fine. You're just going to tell us that. Fine. They're close.
Yeah.
Then he dies. Then she doesn't talk about him or think about. Then she's seeing visions of him, but that goes away an episode or two later. Doesn't happen again. Then he comes back as a hologram. Then he's dead again. Then he's back again.
Well,
Like,
you gotta,
okay, what was the story there? She's close to him and he survives.
Ruben, you gotta realize that was a great moment for fans who love Elnor, because like he comes on screen, it's like, hello. Last thing I remember, I was on the last
Well,
arena.
and that's the other funny part. The minute she calls, he's like, "Oh!" It's like that's when he realized it. What was he doing 5 minutes
That's what
earlier?
I was thinking too.
You know, he didn't realize it 5 minutes earlier. Like what? It's so. And then again, there's like no sacrifice, no consequence. It's like a Marvel movie, except Marvel does it better. You know what I mean? Like at least with them, I can kind of give it a pass because it's comic books. It's kind of ridiculous. Star Trek has
Star
consequences.
Trek should be
man.
hard science fiction. It can be
Yeah.
fantastical, but it can have those fantastical elements. But
Like
there's always the degree of believability that is like I know what you mean. Like it's like they're trying to be like Marvel because Marvel fans and me as a Marvel fan will accept a level of magic technology
right.
that doesn't belong in Star Trek. And Soong with his fucking Iron Man tech, it's weird.
No,
I thought
Soong
he was
makes
gonna
no
have
sense to
Ultron
me.
drones or something.
Soon makes no sense to me. I have no idea how he's made this money. He's a mad scientist, but he's still rich, and he's still rich enough to donate to NASA. And apparently, his donation is so massive that he can just walk around her wherever the hell he wants, however the hell he wants, to anybody he wants, whatever he wants. You know, like that's not
He
the
like
way.
goes up to the director of NASA. He's like, "Fuck you," and the guy's like, "Excuse me, sir. I pay your bills, motherfucker."
He's such a cartoony villain. It's so terrible. And then it's not threatening either. So there's no sense of threat throughout the entire season. At no point do you tell me the truth. Like, do you feel at any point they're like, oh shit, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Like, no, at no point. And then like the one moment they could have had real sacrifice was Seven dying and Raffi there. Raffi doesn't make the sacrifice. She gives the Borg Queen the ship, basically
My sacrifice.
subjecting an entire universe to the tyranny of the Borg to save her ex-girlfriend, who we never see really have intimate moments together. But whatever, they tell us they're a couple, so we have to believe it.
They're very much in love, sir.
They're very
much.
much in love, sir. It's
So-
so fucking strange, man.
I kind of like how Picard's like, "Hey, Seven, Rios is not around, so we're dealing with Borg stuff. You're a Borg. How about you sit in that captain's chair?" And like that, the three kind of sit there in the middle. I'm like, yeah, I don't care, but yeah, like it's fine. I kept thinking back at that moment, like, I can't believe fucking Starfleet was just, they're such pricks that they're like, you're a Borg. Forget what you did with Voyager for all that time and all you contributed.
Yeah,
to,
and even
like-
though we let Icheb in, we're not going to let you in.
Yeah. Each
Yeah,
episode-
we forgot our own continuity from one season to the next. They literally showed Icheb in a Star Trek uniform. They put Icheb in Starfleet and then said Borg aren't allowed in Starfleet. That's how, like, I can't stress. Like, what does that tell you about the people behind the show? How little they give a shit about what they're doing.
It's-
They're not even paying attention to their own stories.
You could have easily just, I know, like, people don't like, what if I did this or whatever. I know people complain about, like, offering alternatives, but I don't mind that at all. What if you didn't have that part where she's like, okay, Rafi, for some reason, didn't know this before, but she's like, hey, why didn't you join Starfleet and be a captain or whatever? She could have said, I felt like I didn't belong there. Not that she was rejected and Janeway had to, threaten to resign to get her in. It could have been, I could have understood that she was like, I could have, but I just don't feel comfortable because people are cool, but you always get those looks or whatever. And by the end here, with Rios is gone, she could be like, you know what? I'm gonna join Starfleet, but you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna just make her captain of the Stargazer in the next season.
Oh boy. Like, to me, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I feel like Seven wouldn't even care about joining Starfleet. She's a scientist first.
Batman's a scientist.
And so she wouldn't care about joining Starfleet or being the captain of a ship. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't even seem like in line with the Seven's personality I knew from the end of Voyager. But then again, the Seven I knew wouldn't become some weird mercenary thing that does I don't know what somewhere. Sometimes we never really see it. It's just told to us all the time. But who cares? Just listen. Don't watch. It's almost like they want you to be like
Uh,
this when you're watching the show.
I did buy into another part that I was like, I gotta say, like the latter half of the episode was like, it's a bit of relief, and it's like, I'm just gonna go with it and enjoy what I can, and I gotta say that bar scene at the end with Guinan explaining everything, I'm like, okay, I couldn't tell you, and hey, by the way, I had Rios's picture in the fucking bar the whole time, and nobody, no, not even Rio. You think Rios walked in there one time was like, why is there a picture of me with some woman? Looks like with an antique motor vehicle. Like, what's that about? But
I can't
I
believe
was
this
like,
show's real, bro.
it was concluding, and they were all having a drink at the bar, and everybody's happy. Like I'm like, at least I'm not depressed about it. You know what I mean? The last part,
Right, right. It wasn't a
okay,
nihilistic ending or anything.
but the very last part, just before we get into it, when they pull out away from the vineyard, like they go through the window and like up.
Hmm.
What a terrible like
With their
bad shot that was. Like the proportions weren't right between Laris and Picard, and like how it moved out. Like it looked really bad. Nitpicking. I don't know, budget issues. I don't know what was going on, but this whole thing about him like, I'm ready to ask you out on a date now, and she's like, okay, I'll stay. I was thinking, no, this is stupid and it won't last, and it feels very forced. And then Orla Brady was kind of like, it might not, you don't know, it might not. She's kind of hinting like it won't be a thing. And I'm thinking, well, of course. How the hell are you gonna have Laris in the third season with Picard around, and then Beverly? You gotta do the Beverly Picard thing. That's gonna piss a lot of people off if you do not get Beverly and Picard
Star Trek
together.
Picard, Picard's harem.
Here's
That's
what I
season
think's gonna
3.
happen. Picard and Laris are gonna get married. It's the wedding. The first episode is Laris and Picard's wedding day, right? And then it's like MacGruber style. Cunt comes in with the rocket launcher and blows her up or whatever. And Picard's like, no! Damn you! Whoever. Romulan. I don't know. Tal Shiar, probably. Fucking John Vosh bastards.
Think about the
Wha-
timing. Picard rejects Laris, right? Leaves on the spaceship to get to the Stargazer. We know in Star Trek it takes time to get places. So he takes this shuttlecraft all the way to the Stargazer. Maybe a week, who knows? Because this show never gives you a sense of time or space. That's just a whole other issue. They never give you a zero sense of time or space. Shit's just happening in this void of where space time doesn't exist. But whatever, Picard. Let's say it takes a week, and then a week to get back. So for 2 weeks, she sat there. Should I go on an adventure, or is Picard coming back to me? Should I go on an adventure? Like, it. What? It's so weird. It's so weird. Like everything's just so loosey goosey. Just we know threads of people just hanging out. Like in episode 9, where when Watcher Laris shows up with guns, and she had been gone for the whole episode 8, and then she's just there with guns. You're like, everything in the show happens off screen.
Well,
Like,
so
why
we
am
had
I
to
even
have
watching this?
guns.
I can imagine my own show, and it's the same thing.
Well, so okay. 10's all around. That's clear enough. My final thoughts, and then Braxton, Ruben.
Picard.
We've heard your many final thoughts already, which is great because you're very passionate. But
It's terrible. It's a
Braxton,
terrible show. I'm sorry. That's the last thing I'll say. It's a terrible fucking show.
do you think it's like up there with like one of the worst seasons of Star Trek ever produced?
So I didn't enjoy the first season of Picard, and after seeing how they wrapped their story for season 2, I actually think that Picard season 1 is better than season 2. Um,
Sadly, it is.
yeah. So for me, I feel like the worst Trek for me is Enterprise. still, I think that I think I'd rather watch Picard than Enterprise still.
Hmm. Well, let's move on to Strange New Worlds.
Strange New
Let's get a little
World.
positivity in here.
All right, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Uh,
Dude, so I should say I only watched the first 26 minutes of the episode.
oh no, do you mind spoilers then?
I don't mind spoilers, dude.
And so at the end, several characters leave or go away, never come back. Joking. No.
Oh, I was like, really?
So
Wow.
what did you think of Spock getting freaky with his girlfriend? That was a weird conversation at the beginning. I got to admit, like they said they said the word query way too many times. I'm like,
Oh
stop it with
yeah.
this query banter. Like it's really
Hmm.
tiresome. But aside from that, when like the setting and like the the foreplay is kind of
Hmm.
the Vulcan foreplay is nice, and then like they're about to get to it, and like they can't do it because they're interrupted by Pike, and it's like they're not even mad about it. And that's what I loved about it. Like they're not getting like visibly irritated by the fact that they really need to do it and they just can't right now. Like she seems a bit disappointed, but it's so subtle. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I kind of like that.
But the Vulcans don't reveal their emotions. I thought that that scene was just like telling us, okay, well, this is what Spock is up to, and this is how much he's giving up to go and do this mission. Like he's given up like Tom and marrying this beautiful woman right now. He's got like this like great place and like that has like a great view. Like Spock is in a really really good place kind
Like
of right now, but
yeah,
he's getting out into the stars.
it's like he's relaxed and he's not, and the thing about she's like, "Will you marry me?" He's like, "I thought you would never ask." And then they kiss, and the other Vulcan's like, "Yeah, don't do that in here." Like we don't. That's a little too much, guys. That's pretty much like humans in a library, like necking very heavily. It's like, come
Mm.
on, that's very inappropriate, really.
Another thing about that scene is that so the thing is like I feel like he was just wearing like some black boxer briefs, and that seemed a little weird to me, dude.
Well, it should have been like in the buff,
No, like
like
I feel like he should have.
implied nudity, not like actual full on, like implied.
No, I feel like he should have been wearing something like some alien looking undergarments or something, dude. Something that just doesn't look like boxer briefs.
Oh, like underwear with like Vulcan ears
Yeah,
on
like
the
shimmery
sides.
underwear or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
Like how
yes,
TNG always had like the shimmery shorts and shit.
Maybe
yeah,
if he
like
was wearing like some silk like genie pants or something, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's like what like Vulcan's like sexy pajamas, dude.
I call that future cloth. It's cloth that looks like it's from the
Yeah, yeah.
future.
Future clothes. I like that.
It
Uh,
was funny when Pike was like, "Fuck, are you naked?"
yeah. So the episode itself opens on this like society that's like ours in the 21st century, like literally like on like right now. So I didn't mind that was so kind of on the nose,
Was
and
it
like how you
classic
follow
Trek alternate or
alternate Earth kind
yeah,
of thing, right?
similar Earth?
And you know what? I can't object to that. I it it seems like kind of an old idea now. Like you figure new shows would have more like extreme aliens or like situations and stuff. But going back to this like formula, I'm kind of aching for the formula, like the classic formula, and the fact that they just give it to me right away. I'm like, oh, this is starting out like a Voyager episode would or a TNG episode would or something like that, right? What do you think of Pike's little place? And he's waking up. He's sleeping with a captain,
You
and
mean
the conversation between them and like the things ringing. She's like,
his
answer your
William
phone.
Shatner Nexus house? His
No,
Kirk Nexus house? That's what I thought of. I was like, oh, this is the same house that Kirk had in Nexus.
no. Well, I know what you mean. Yeah, but
Oh,
this
it's not the
place is
exact same
much
house,
nicer.
but it's basically the same.
It's it, is much nicer, and he has like a classic TV. He literally has a TV like mine on his wall, playing like what's that movie?
Oh, Day the Earth Stood Still.
The Earth Stood Still. I like that. The beard looked fake. I don't think he grew out that beard for that scene. I think they patched that on because I've seen his real beard. It doesn't look the same. This one was like looked like it was glued on pubic hair or something. I'm just trying to find. I'm nitpicking Strange New Worlds. What am I doing? It starts off okay. He's not answering any communications. They really need him. He's undecided. He still has time to decide whether he wants to go back because he's traumatized by the events on Korath in Star Trek Discovery Season 2, where he touched the time crystal and he got a vision of, and not only a vision, he physically experienced the ordeal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And which I thought was like one of the better parts of Season 2. The Korath stuff itself and like the time crystals all.
Oh, well, yeah, I need to ask a question because I never finished Discovery Season 2. So where does this show take place in relation to Discovery? It's after Season 2 of Discovery? Or after Season 3?
It's not long. It's 22:59.
Okay.
Because
So-
he said Spock said it's been like 3 months since he has seen Captain Pike, and he says that he's still like recovering from like the loss of Michael. You know, so it's like 3 months like after, you know, we dropped off from Season 2 of Discovery.
Yeah, it's like literally in the same year as Season 2 of Discovery. Maybe like,
Okay.
because I'm pretty sure when they go to 20 or 32, whatever, 89, it's, yeah, I think it's 22:59. So anyway, it is that time. Robert April shows up in a shuttle. I like how the horse gets spooked because at first I was like, the horse isn't really reacting, and then when it comes down, like the horse goes nuts and Pike gets upset about it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I like this. I like this, right? I like things that are happening and what they're saying. Like none of it's jarring or like I'm not like
Right. There's a logical order of events.
And I like the fact that you see Admiral April, and you get. I guess it's implied that Pike was his first officer when he was captain, because they know each other, and he calls him Bob, so it's like they're very familiar. The guy who plays
Phil.
Uncle Phil in Bel Air, and
Oh, yeah.
he's really
awesome.
good in that.
I love that episode where he dances with his old alma mater. And just,
Oh yeah.
He's a shit badass.
Dude, the actor who played Robert April in this looked great, dude. Like, yeah, I think he looked great.
Yeah, and he might be a recurring character, like it seems, because he shows up at the end then, and okay, then we get after the Pike stuff, we get the Spock stuff, which we talked about. What'd you think of the shirtless Spock? Works out. Much more buff than Leonard Nimoy
He was
was.
ripped.
You know, it didn't really catch my eye. I have to like watch it again, dude.
It's like, I don't know if like okay, Vulcans are so strong. It's like, why would you need the bulkiness? You know what I mean? It's a weird thing.
But maybe he just has like a tight, like athletic, natural body, dude.
I think
No, he
I
seemed
think
very- he
actors
seemed
I
kinda
think actors
leanish,
work too
you know.
hard. Like they do, like they pump up too much. I think because when they're in those uniforms too with the shoulder pads, it's like it's a little bit bulky.
Mm-hmm.
He had like a wide
PJ,
receiver.
you can't ever have too much muscle, dude.
He had like a wide receiver, small forward body.
Well, I'm just jealous because I don't have any muscles.
Never too much muscle, dude.
I only got
The
one,
more
and
the
it's
better.
10 inches long, baby.
By the way, what'd you think of the?
Hilarious.
What'd you think of the turbo lift?
Who didn't see it?
We didn't see that in the Discovery. It was like a different thing. Like the first time I ever saw it was when Pike and Spock walk into the turbo lift, and he's talking about like what you said earlier, Braxton, about trying to get over Michael and the loss of his,
Oh, oh, the turbo lift was after. Oh yeah, right. They were walking down the hall, then they went up to the turbo lift, and that's where we met like all the crew. Okay, yeah, I did see that scene.
Did you finish the episode, Braxton?
Dude, I only watched the first 26 minutes, dude.
Yeah, no, I remember you mentioning that you hadn't finished it.
Yeah, I still hadn't finished it. I'm gonna finish it. I'll probably finish it tomorrow. Tomorrow morning before I go to work.
P says Pike now suffers from pre-traumatic stress disorder,
Right.
Yeah.
And I
as
thought
opposed to post.
this wasn't gonna be a season-long thing, but we're gonna get Pike trauma story the whole season.
But he might be able to conquer it. Like if I hope that he like now that he's talked to Spock, I hope that maybe with the help of Spock, he can accept and move on. That he can find strength in it.
They make it a point to show this pre-traumatic stress incident so that people who've never seen Discovery, like you could go into this completely fresh, not having watched Discovery, and get that, okay, before the events of this show, he was on a mission where he saw and felt his own demise. And I like the fact that they make it a point to say, like, it's not his actual death, but pretty much the death of who he is. So in his mind, like, to be in a vegetative state is like almost even worse than death in some ways, if you really think about it. So addressing it and kind of getting it out of the way, I don't think they're going to abandon it. They're still going to touch on it. But if they do this thing where it's like episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, flashes of what happened in Discovery, like I don't mind in this episode they use footage and they show those flashes. Yes, audience needs to know who doesn't know. And the episode's pretty tight, man, because it's a 45-minute episode and you're introducing everybody on top of introducing Pike's thing, where Spock comes from. Then he goes on the bridge and you meet Lanan Noonien Soon. I didn't know how I was going to feel about her because I'm sick of this milking Khan eugenics war shit. So anything having to do with it, I'm like, I don't know about this. I liked her instantly. She has like this...
She's a beautiful actress.
She has this vulnerability to her that I didn't expect, and like the strength and a vulnerability. Like she's obviously very strong. We don't know this yet. We really haven't seen it. She's a security officer for a reason. But like there's a sadness about her, and like how the fact she doesn't take the painkillers before the genetic transformation thing. I'm like, this is interesting.
Hard.
And the way she talks to Pike, and like she's kind of like a little rude to him, but I like how Pike is like the kind of sensitive captain the world, the sensitive man the world needs now. There's almost no sign of toxicity in him. You know what I mean?
Right,
So, like,
without being like kind of
he's not a pushover. He's not a pushover.
Right, without being kind of like a demeaned character. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's still a good, interesting male character without being like kind of brought down.
They're not jobbing him to bring other characters up.
Right.
For example, when he's spacing out on the bridge, and they're like, Captain, you can see Spock looking at him. I like the way that's filmed too. Like it's all very good. You see the concern. And then I'm like, well, this concern that Spock's showing better lead to a conversation. I'm thinking this, right? And then it happens. So I'm like, that's good stuff. The fact that they're doing things right in a narrative, like, constructive way is like, considering what we just got with other Trek recently. It's like, it's not amazing, like, but it's good. It's good.
It's like somebody finally read a book on how to write a TV show.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, duh.
I like Ortega's and Uhura, and there's another woman on the helm. I forget her name. They haven't really introduced her in the promos too much. But I'm like, holy shit, Spock and Pike are on a women are on a bridge full of women. I'm like, and they're all cool. Like, it's not like they shouldn't be. I'm just saying, like, it's not done in a way where it's like, well, it's the patriarchy and you're the man and you don't know. It's like there's respect between everybody. There's no gender issue. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and all the characters feel like adults,
Yes,
which
there
is
you go.
something that all these other Star Trek shows seem to forget. Where these people are trained military professionals, and like, tell me when Raffi once acted like a trained military professional, or Rios, who's supposedly
Oh,
the captain, yet Raffi's always giving him orders. And it's like, when is Rios ever an actual captain? Like, when does he actually take command or do anything? Like, I'm
Well,
sorry to bring it back to Picard, but like
yeah,
comparing it to the other shows, like compared to Discovery, where everybody feels like there's some sort of angsty teenager on that show.
yeah.
Whereas here, and you like, I don't believe anybody on Discovery went through Starfleet. I just don't. None of these people, they're all so emotional. And like when you watch old Star Trek, you're like, that the whole thing was these people are composed. They control themselves. They're calm. They're introspective, so they have control over their emotional faculties rather than just being like constantly screaming and crying and complaining and like. And these people were like, the Stranger Worlds was the same. Like they're all very like, okay, we all went through the same programs. We're all professionals. We don't need to yell every 5 seconds about everything.
And which, more to that point, uh, in other, I don't want to compare. I don't want to talk really bash Discovery, but you get these things where a character's not feeling good, so Burnham or Tilly will talk to them, or they'll talk to each other, and there's moments of like, and there's the tears, and I never feel anything watching that, never. But in this, when Spock's showing Conservator Pike, and then goes into his quarters and actually talks to him, and gives him a kind of like pep talk, like, take this and use it well, use it for good instead of worrying about it. He says it's going to happen in 10 years. It's actually more like 6 or 7, but whatever. Um, yeah, it would be probably at most 8 years, because I think the event happens in 2266 or 7.
he
So
said less than 10 years.
yeah,
Like, hmm
but
Less than 10 years.
that little pep talk, it's just like, wow, the Spock's going and making him feel better. Like, that's fucking nice. You know what I mean? There's nothing nefarious or underhanded or fucking weird or overly sentimental about it. It's just point and fact, a simple conversation, and it's not like at the end, and I love you and I always will, my science officer, or it's like, um, so they're going to rescue number one, Una, who's not there. That's this is the whole point of Pike getting back in and into action, and the Enterprise going out before she's ready. But everybody's enthusiastic, and they go to this planet, and they find out that Una, number one, is kidnapped, and the other crew. Um, uh, I meant to say, there's a scene on the bridge where Nan is like, raise the shields, and Spock is like arguing with her, and they were brave enough to make Spock wrong. Like, Spock's like, there's no need, we can't do that. It's a stance that we
Oh,
shouldn't
right
take.
before the missiles hit or something.
And then the helmsman was like, yeah, if our shields weren't up, we would have been fucked. We would have been like the other ship, basically, right? What did you think of that whole disguise thing? How they really explain that with Nurse Chapel? Another character I like, Dr. Mbenga. Like, as soon as you meet these fucking people, like, they're instantly likable.
hmm
So
Well, and they
there you
give
go.
you a moment to actually get, like they give you, they give them a little bit of time to actually let a little bit of their character come out, because there's not a million things happening at one time. As opposed to like Discovery, where like the first time you meet Stamets, oh, the engine's blowing up and this is happening, blah, 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 and you never really get to know Stamets. He's just in chaos all the time. So it's like you never just get to meet Stamets.
Did you see that comment?
What was
I
that?
did.
Yep, totally. Totally.
You're gonna have to explain that one, Blue, because I have
Right,
no idea
yeah,
what you're
I
talking
love
about. I think it's because I pointed out that there were mostly women on the bridge.
Oh, I don't know. I would not make accusations like that unless you knew more about people, but that's just me.
Yeah, I pointed out that there were a bunch of women on the bridge that I really instantly liked. I have such an issue. Um,
Oh, the Nurse Chapel, dude. So it is really cool that Nurse Chapel is a specialist in like cosmetic stuff. So they're like setting you up for like, okay, well, this is how they can do this because they have this woman who is like trained in like this. So, I thought that was cool. It's like, oh yeah, like Nurse Chapel, like this is her thing.
and we've always
Right.
known that in order for people to go down in disguise, like it's been confusing, but basically the consensus is that they have to go through some kind of actual physical surgery or alteration to trick any kind of like biometrics or like things.
Right.
Because at
Well, it
first when I was
depends
a
on the
kid, I used to think it was
society they're
just
trying to
makeup.
investigate, right?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think when Picard and Data are disguised as Romulans in that unification, like the Klingon calls it actual makeup. He's like, they're gonna take that makeup right off your face. I'm like, I thought it was surgery, because when Crusher, like when Worf, for example, disguises himself to go down with his brother to mingle with those people. Remember that episode, Paul Sorvino?
Yeah, yeah.
He's physically changed like the structure of his face. So like, I like the fact that they address that, like how they do it.
Yeah, I
But
like
yeah,
that. I like that they
it's a bit
added
of
that
magic,
there's
but
like a bit of pain that comes along with it. I kind of like that there's a process to it, even though it's a bit magical and it happens a little bit quickly and back and forth. But I just like that at least they added the detail that it's not just, oh, we're gonna inject you and poof, you look like a Romulan or whatever. There's some pain associated with it, which I found interesting.
Hmm.
The only thing I didn't like about Chapel was that, I mean, this is because I have issues against women, but
oh yeah,
the only thing I
Jesus
didn't like about
Christ, you better
Chapel
be
was
careful.
she's the only character to me that came off as too modern. Like she seemed too much like a character from today, which I hate about like Discovery, and
She's spunky.
whereas the other characters all seem to fit better. Let me not move my desk. Better suited to the kind of the world around them. Like
I didn't pick that up when I first saw her, but then, like I said, I only watched 26 minutes. I
Oh,
forget the part that I jumped off. Like, what was happening when I jumped off? I don't remember right now.
um, well,
and
and
Blue,
that
yes, if you make an accusation, it is on you to explain it. It's not on us to defend it.
I didn't want to address that comment.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
on you to explain it before you make accusations of people.
well,
I
now
wrote
that
a film for an entire female production crew, and I was raised by a single mom. So it's insulting to me for you to say what you're saying right now. It is hyper insulting to me. So check yourself and explain yourself or shut up. And I'm sorry if that makes you lose a viewer. I'll make another YouTube account and follow you, PJ. But it's insulting to me.
um,
100%. You want to see me mad? I'm mad right now because that's
I
insulting as hell, Blue. And for you to say it without any evidence, without any explanation, is bullshit. Ultimate bullshit.
yeah, I don't agree. I don't agree with that either. That
Like my screenwriting student is literally a woman. So what? I am a misogynist. I demean her when she comes to class. Like that's the dumbest thing you could say, Blue.
I don't know what's going on there. I really am quite confused about that. I don't know what I've said in the past, though. I mean,
Right. So show examples, show evidence, explain yourself, or don't make the accusation.
and why would you watch the videos of me for a long time if I'm such a bad person? Parenthesis I says the actress who plays Nurse Chapel kind of reminds me of Emma Stone in the movie Cruella.
Oh yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
should have.
She reminded me of
Mhm.
Parker Posey for some reason too.
Hmm.
Even though I don't think
Yeah,
she really
I get
looks like.
both of those.
Yeah, she doesn't really look like Parker Posey, but she reminded me a little bit of it.
Hmm.
Okay, so they go down to the planet and Spock doesn't have pants. There you go. The first truly comedic moment in Strange New Worlds. Anson
What
Mount
happened to
looks.
the pants, dude?
He was meant to have pants, but okay,
Yeah,
when they
remember he didn't. What? Yeah, what was up with that?
the clothing and the universal translators and everything were in the buffer. So when they beamed down, their clothes would be replaced with the what they wear down there and stuff, and the universe so they can speak the language. And for whatever reason, Spock's pants
Didn't
didn't
materialize.
didn't show up.
Hmm.
So they see this world as basically like they have a warp bomb, and I don't understand the circumstances around how they saw or how they developed this technology because of what happened in season 2 because of the light was so bright or something. I
Well, I'm a little
anybody
confused
catch
on
that?
that too. Like, what? The ship gets to there. The ship with Rebecca Romaine gets to this planet, right?
Yeah. For
And then
first
what happens to
contacts,
that ship? And how do they get the warp bomb? And where did that ship go?
they had all this stuff when first because they got the warp signature, which was a weird warp signature that Spock includes as a warp bomb. Okay, so they're not warp capable, but they have like advanced weapons that can fire on ships. So I'm wondering, like, because of the events of a few months ago, they did all. So that's a. I don't know if that's a plot. Somebody could explain that away if they could. Maybe I missed something in the episode, but I don't understand how they have that level in such a short period of time, or was it before that? I don't know. But despite that, it's basically a world just very similar to ours, on the brink of like starting with a civil war between the two factions of the planet, which I guess could evolve into a world war. And they just got to get their officer back. And there's like all kind of comedic shenanigans with Spock, turning back into Vulcan. And I like how when they fight the aliens, they don't kill them. They just don't murder everybody. They just like incapacitate them. They're like, no time to hide the bodies, but they're
Right.
alive. They're not dead. And then Nurse Chapel, they beam up the aliens, and then there's a whole like funny thing where the alien gets loose and Nurse Chapel's got to chase him. I'm like, this is dumb fun. I don't mind this. This is
No,
good
that's
stuff.
where that's the parts that worry me.
Yeah, you don't want too much of that. Hey?
That's the parts that I'm like, there's gonna be more of this to come. I can just see it. They couldn't just call security to pick the guy up like a normal adult show would. They have to have some goofy cartoon chase scene through the ship. Just
It's, you know what it
fill
is.
time or something?
It's so the audience can get to know the ship. You can get to run through it and stuff. There
Yeah,
you go.
okay.
Get
All
the
right.
geography.
all right. What did you guys think of the emergency medical transporter?
It was interesting.
Yeah,
I
I thought that
guess.
was neat. It makes a lot of practical sense.
Yeah, I got to take care of that.
So what? Like somebody was hurt and they were just like beamed out right quick, dude. Like really fast.
What did they beam the stuff into him?
Yeah, they beamed that juice into Spock's eye so that he passes the test.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
Which
Because they literally
whatever.
have to have the alien's DNA within them to.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I didn't. You can nitpick that, I guess, if you really wanted to, but that's a little incredible. But I mean, then again, it's the transporters. They've made people young. They've made people.
Mm-hmm.
So they rescue number one, and they get captured, and then Pike's like, at the end, he's like, "Well, I'm gonna break the rules here." He calls the ship, says, "Go into low orbit." I'm sorry, but the ship's not gonna be that big in low orbit. I know low orbit is, is low orbit like right above buildings, or like a mile up or something? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know because in real like sort of space stuff, there's different layers of orbit. So, it's I don't know. It could be anywhere, I guess.
I guess that's a nitpick, but anyway, it's to show the ship, and
Yeah,
it's on
yeah.
the news. It gets everybody's attention, It gets the two factions talking, and then Pike beams down in the middle of the conversation, and it's like, "I've put together a little video montage for you." He's like a little like PowerPoint presentation of, "Hey, this is us now. This is what we used to be. You guys are just like that now. If you don't fucking get your act together, you're gonna have a hard road ahead of you." And it's all done it's wrapped up very nicely. It's all done very eloquently, and yeah, it's classic kind of Trek shit. It's not Kirkish. It's Pike. It's a more benevolent kind of approach. It's just like, eat your vegetables, kids, that kind of thing. But yeah, I like it.
Well, like I said, when I tweeted earlier about it, I said to me it felt comfortable, so like it was familiar,
Yeah,
but also new. It had that perfect balance of like, yeah, I feel like I've been here before, but at the same time, it's something, new. It's new stuff in a place I've seen before, which I really liked about that. I mean, it definitely, in my opinion, felt the most Trek of any of the live action shows. It felt like a show that really belongs in the Trek universe.
The set is so much lighter as well. I think that that gives the show a different feel. Like, Discovery is so dark and so blue, and I also feel like Picard, when they're on the ships, it's like the same thing. But like
right,
in this, ship, like the walls are white and like everything feels like, and it's a lighter hearted show as well. At least that first episode was, the half
yeah,
that I
yeah,
did see. Also, something that I also think that, the '90s shows and the '60s shows that were, um, that were just like 40-minute shows that were standalone. I think that they also benefit from not telling a long serialized story because like things are like shallow and you can like be moving fast, you know. Um, but like I think that when you're telling serialized storytelling, like week to week, like you have to like go in depth, and
yeah,
sometimes that depth exposes weakness in your storytelling.
mm-hmm,
So just telling like a
for sure.
50-minute story, is easier than telling a 10 or 13-hour story. And
Yeah,
I think that the
especially
shows
particularly
benefit.
like when you're like in the case of not, to go back to Picard again, but in the case of like Picard, both seasons where you have maybe a 4 hour story and now you're stretching it out into 10 hours, but then it's got to be more in depth. So now when you try to go into that depth, it's not there. So then the story really has all the cracks really start to show because this story shouldn't be taking this long. Whereas I think I like what I like kind of, I have a feeling, we'll see how it goes, but I always thought it'd be cool if Stranger or Star Trek did what I think it was season 2 of Doctor Who with the first season with Tennant with the bad wolf.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, Doctor Who has this season. And Whovians, you can correct me because I'm not a Who
Who
expert. But
from
there's one
Whoville?
season with Tennant where it's the typical Doctor Who. Every episode is kind of a standalone thing.
Yeah,
But then there's this weird little thing kind of in each episode that at the end, that towards the end, you find out, oh, it's been this season long arc that's actually been happening, but just very nuanced in the background.
yeah.
And now it's coming to a head at the end of the season. So I'm like, if they kind of do that with Pike's vision thing, I don't know, we'll see. And they don't play it too heavily every single episode and make it like, and hopefully, please, just don't try to destroy the galaxy again. Just keep maybe look how nice and simple this episode was. It was just this planet with a conflict. Like, don't destroy the galaxy, guys. Like, you
Mhm.
don't have to destroy the galaxy to make the story interesting every single time.
And
Dude, I have a question really fast.
Hmm.
yeah,
Um, is there another crystalline entity?
what do you mean another? Like, what time? What time period?
I mean, at
Like,
this time period, it would be around, I guess, right?
mm,
The one we know,
mm-hmm,
like the one that destroyed Data's home or whatever.
mm-hmm.
But wasn't that the
I would
first
love.
encounter they ever had with it? Was when
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Mm,
Omicron
And then they
Beta.
destroy it
mm,
later on.
mm. So we probably won't see the crystalline entity in Strange New World.
they're talking about the Gorn already. Like Lana Noonien Singh had an experience with the Gorn, and I'm not sure about like the continuity with that. I didn't know if they knew about them before TOS or not.
Oh,
But
right.
at some point, I guess we're probably gonna have the Gorn. The fact that they mentioned them, and then in the preview there seems to be a Gorn like baby. So
But
I don't
I
know.
like that scene to your point earlier about how the difference between like Discovery and this show, where on Discovery, her explaining her little Gorn backstory would have been like overly dramatic and like exaggerated and like crying and instead it was this very somber like she's telling this horrible story. You know what I mean? And even
Complaining
though I
about
don't want, I was like, oh boy, here we go, another character with a traumatic background. Like they cannot do anything else but the same like traumatic background character thing. But at the same time, I was like, oh, at least they're, she's the performance is great, and she's not being like it feels very like a normal way Trek would do it, where it's just her holding her emotions and trying to explain what happened in this horrible situation. Where
and yeah, Pike gives her a commission on the ship, and she becomes a permanent officer, and it all ends well, and it's like let's go on some adventures, folks. Dun, 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 dun. That's the wrong one. The theme of the opening theme and the visuals kind of underwhelming.
I feel like the music's a little underbaked or something. Like it's low. I don't know. Something
It's
like
like
maybe I
it's
need
like
to
a
warm up
subtle
to it.
version of dun, 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 but it's like
Hmm.
it's changed. It's it's like I don't know. It doesn't catch on like the Prodigy or the Lower Decks theme or even Picard's theme. Picard's theme is great. Like the show may not be good, but da, na, 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 na. Like the two versions are good. Discovery's theme I've heard so much. I'm kind of like really liked it at first, but now I'm like I can't even think of it. I can't even think of it like right now. How the
Yeah, I
fuck
don't. I
does
mean, I only
Discoveries
watched.
go?
I only watched a season and a half, but
Oh my god, I'm drawing to total blank on Discovery's theme. Oh well.
um,
Oh my god.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah.
Do you think we were misogynistic? The perception was that we were misogynistic because we're complaining about people crying.
I
Is
don't
that
know,
it?
man. I think that's just fucking stupid, man. If you're gonna use that word on somebody,
I just
you
feel. I
better
feel so.
mean it. You first of all, you better mean it, and you better bring receipts
Yeah, like what's that
because you don't
about?
know shit about my life other than what I say on this show when I'm on these shows. And I don't. What? And we think I sit here and talk about my whole resume? You don't know what I've fucking done. I had the same issue with a person a few months ago who called me was trying to paint me as transphobic. And I'm like, my niece is non-binary. My niece is basically a sister to me, and you're calling me transphobic? You better bring receipts. And again, I wrote a feature film for an entire female-led production crew, and most of them were LGBTQ also. So to call me a misogynist when I was raised by a single mom is hyper insulting to me. Hyper insulting to me.
And I've never massaged anybody ever.
And so I'm like, if you call
Never
somebody
smelled
unique,
anyone's hair. And
like bring up a
Oh.
specific thing we said, and then I'll be like, oh, well, this is what I meant. That I didn't mean that as a misogynist.
maybe it was a joke taken the wrong way.
I don't think it was a joke.
I'm like distracted by it.
I don't think it was a joke.
it's it's thrown me for a loop if
Stupid.
if that was the goal. Um,
I
so
hope I
yeah,
haven't been problematic.
dude.
It's like it's so.
Why are you saying all those awful things that I don't remember? Yeah, I mean, I have hope for Strange New Worlds, and I'm glad we have this show, and I just don't want it to go downhill. I don't want to get to like 3 or 4 episodes and be like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean?
No,
So how
hopefully
many
not. I mean,
episodes do we have? Do you know?
10.
oh, it's gonna be 10.
10
Yeah.
episodes? Uh-huh. I think that we're probably gonna get three real
Stinkers?
good ones.
Oh, okay.
I think that we'll probably get four solid ones,
I like this.
and
This is like
then 3 more that are just like meh, meh. But they're not bad, bad. It's like meh.
I think there's going to be a two-parter in there, some at least one two-parter in the first season, maybe the last 2 episodes, maybe. And uh, this whole concept of you can be episodic and you can have serialized elements as well.
Mm-hmm.
Shows have been doing that for years.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently started watching NYPD Blue from 1993. For one thing, it's has swearing and nudity throughout it, which was like network TV back then.
Yeah, and they had bare ass too.
Bare ass, they did more than bare ass, my friend.
I
You
was
can
in high
see some
school.
stuff. I don't know if they censored some stuff back then or
Dude,
what.
that must have just been in Canada, dude. Like I was watching that in the '90s, dude, and it was on after 10 p.m. on Fox. But
Yeah.
still, you could be showing stuff on American TV, dude.
I mean, I remember why I didn't watch a
Oh
lot
no,
of
no,
NYPD
it
Blue
did
back
air
in
in
the day, but
it aired in Canada the way it was controversial for the fact that
yeah,
it aired so many a lot of affiliates in the United States at the beginning didn't want to carry it, and then it like was hugely popular, and like sponsors were like, ah, fuck it, I don't care if they say asshole and they have side titty all the time.
Uh,
But the way that show works is that every episode there's a certain thing that they deal with, and it's very episodic in that way. But the characters and certain subplots are serialized throughout the season and have season long kind of, and it's very well balanced because you can sit down and watch an episode and get a complete kind of like story about it, but there will also be like carryover through like emotional trauma or something that the character. Very sophisticated show for its time, by the way. I'm very impressed with the first season. Dennis Franz, you want to talk about misogyny? He's a he screws hookers. Used to beat his wife. He admits, he says it so casually. Like, yeah, I used to slap my wife around, and he's like, I'm a different guy now. Like he has to mention, like, you know, because he was the show starts off at like at his worst. He's with the hooker. He's like drunk on the job all the time, which leads him to getting shot by a mobster, and that whole incident like completely changes him. So he's like still a prick, but he's like a benevolent prick. Like he's a
right.
good,
He's trying
like,
to reform. Well, he's
yeah,
sort of
like
reformed, but not really.
his new girlfriend, who's the lawyer, is like, "Did you went out with that hooker?" He's like, "No, I didn't have relations with her." But yeah, it's a fucking great show, man.
Like you're gonna
NYPD
call
Blue.
me misogynist because I made some comment about a fictional fucking character on a TV show
But the
when there's
fact
people
that,
like that in the real world who beat women and like fucking like demean them and like man.
we don't really know what the hell that's about, though. I mean, I don't know what
Well,
happened.
that's why I was like, first thing I said was explain yourself, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, I have to. I don't have. She doesn't, or he doesn't. He doesn't have to explain himself because I don't explain my awful takes. I'm like, all we do is sit here and explain our awful takes. That's what we've been doing it for 2 hours now, is explaining our awful takes. So, and then like you said, why are you listening to the show for a year if you think we're a bunch of misogynists? Then you must be a misogynist too, and you like it. That was so stupid. Sorry.
I haven't done anything to anybody. Leave me alone.
I mean, this is a bunch of me dude just talking shit about Star Trek, and all of a sudden this somehow gets into like,
I think it was like the crying and stuff, and then at one point I said, "Oh, you were talking about the virtues of this actress," and I said, "Oh, she's a beautiful actress," and so I hope that
Oh,
isn't like characterized as
yeah.
misogynist.
who knows?
I gotta say,
This is my favorite episode.
all the women on Strange New Worlds are fucking smoking hot. So I don't mind looking at them. And what's wrong with attractiveness in people? I mean,
Actors are just
I mean,
attractive.
are people not
fucking-
looking at Anson Mount and Ethan Peck and
I,
saying,
Look at
one of my
Anson
notes.
Mount.
"Ooga, tongue hanging out like fucking mask in that, you know, like when he's watching Cameron Diaz, is that her name?
One of my notes that I wrote here is Pike's hair looks amazing. Like Pike was sexy as fuck.
Pike is sexy as fuck, dude. He's got so much gel in that hair, dude, to like make it hold like that, dude.
It's future hairspray.
It's super, yeah. It's like one spritz and.
Oh, another thing.
One
You know,
spritz
so-
and it binds.
Oh, I love this one line that when Pike and I forgot her name, Lan, right, sings soon. When he says to her, "Oh, I wasn't sure if I could trust you,
Yeah.
and then, or I forget how they word it. I wasn't sure if I could trust you, so you decided not to trust me instead, or something like that. It's like a little exchange between them. I thought I really liked that
Mm.
little moment with them.
I want a Star Trek show to have a barber or a hairstylist. Because like,
Oh, TNG had Mott, the blue guy.
oh,
He only comes out for a couple
oh,
episodes, right? The
mm,
Bolian.
mm,
Remember Mott?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
talks a
yeah.
lot. And Picard bitches at Riker, like, don't share secrets with the barber or whatever.
Uh,
Did Deep Space Nine have a barber? I don't remember. They
I
had a
can't remember.
tailor. They had what's
They
his
they
name?
had a bunch of people doing different things, but you could assume there was probably a barber
Right,
because, like,
right.
yeah. But what did you think of Pike's quarters? They're fucking huge for one thing. It's like a little little futuristic postmodern apartment or something.
Dude, his apartment is huge, or his quarters is
Quarters.
huge.
Yeah, he likes to cook for people there too, right? Like apparently in the show, it's not really a spoiler. It's you see that he cooks at the beginning. He likes anybody can replicate anything at this time. He chooses to do it, the old-fashioned way, which, by the way, is not something unbelievable. I think the art of cooking is going to be around forever. Like it will never go away. Like
Yeah, I believe
I
that.
don't
Mhm.
think for a second, like humans are going to get to that point where like nobody ever cooks. Most of us will use replicators, sure,
Yeah, like
but
on
We
the day to
might,
day type of thing. Yeah.
yeah,
but it might get to the point where, a kitchen might be for people who like are like wealthy and like have like a lot of space. It's like there's like more and more of us and stuff. Like I feel like our quarters will be really small, and like your kitchen, like why would you have like a kitchen and like would you have like a stove and a microwave and a refrigerator and a sink? That stuff takes up so much space when you could just have like a replicator that's just like as big as a microwave. Like I don't know, it might become that kind of thing, and only people who have like a lot of space,
it seems
would
like
have that.
on ships maybe like the lower rank you are, or the less kind of accommodations you have. It's not like you can't get the same replicator food or whatever, which sometimes they do in modern Trek. It's
I
like
also feel like probably like growing up in the Trek world, assuming the TNG type Trek world, not Discovery, but more of a TNG type Trek world, they like going out into the wilderness and camping and kind of doing things the old way.
Mm,
So I feel like they would teach kids how to cook. You know what I mean? Like how to be kind of self-sufficient if you need to be,
mm,
sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like don't
yeah.
just rely on replicators because you might not always have a replicator. So let's
mm,
teach you how
mm,
to.
mm,
The thing with Starfleet, I always thought like you would be taught like the basics of life. Like one of the things about serving in Starfleet is not that you can press buttons. Like that's just a small part of it. You need basic medical training, basic survival training. Like I mean the basic stuff. I mean you don't need to fucking be MacGyver, but you need to know your stuff when you don't have the technology
Right, right.
mhm.
readily available. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys. I think that we're gonna wrap it up there because
All right.
uh, this has been a very interesting discussion,
Yeah, this is my favorite episode
and
of I've been on this show.
I gotta say, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me these past three live streams. It's been a lot of fun, and I want to thank the
Indeed.
audience for joining us and commenting. And until next time, guys, live long and prosper.